Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 136 of Two Left Thumbs, your weekly gaming podcast, now coming to you on Mac. I'm your host, Jeff Puppiez, and joining me this week is Mr BadBit. How you doing, man?
I'm doing all right, man. How about you?
I'm good. We got here. There was some small confusion with times and zones.
It's all me. I'm dumb. It's all good.
No, I think like I said before, I was last week it was me with another guest and I had the time wrong. I was like running around. Oh my god, I'm so sorry. And then
no, honestly, if it's any time zone outside America, just count me out. I'm done. I always get them wrong somehow, some way. Because I had a Mr. Midas on to talk about Deathloop, and literally, like, I woke up. He's like, "Hey, man, I've been waiting for an hour." And I'm like, "Wait, what?" I thought I said 1 o'clock. My time. He's like, "No, you said 1 o'clock my time." I was like, "Oh,
yeah,
egg on my face."
Oopsies. Yeah, that'll do it, man. Like,
yeah.
Yeah, it's like the worst. I think I missed somebody like nearly like 4 or 5 hours. I was like at work and then messaging me. I'm like, it's cool. Take your time. So I'm at work. I'm not going to be done for like 5 or 6 hours. Are you cool? These actually I got to go out this afternoon. We'll reschedule for tomorrow. It's fine.
Yeah. To me, it's like the only time zones that I'm accustomed to is like Eastern Standard Time. The 5 people, including Ainsley Bowden, that use Central Time, and then PST, Pacific Standard Time. So like that's all I have to usually contend with, and that's pretty good. But then anything after that, I'm like, what's BST time? What's GMT time? What's like
what? And then you start throwing daylight savings into the mix, and then they're throwing extra D's in there. It's like ADT and ADST. It's like okay. Just slow down. We need a better system.
Honestly, daylight savings time should be illegal.
Yeah, I live in a state that doesn't have it, but it's one of the only states in Australia that doesn't have daylight savings that everywhere else does.
Question.
And it gets weird. Yes.
I was having this conversation a few days ago. How many like states are in Australia?
There are 7. 7?
Okay. This is not a lot of confidence.
Look, man, I don't do geography.
Man,
this is also not me googling. There's 6 states. There you go. I was close.
Okay, 6 states. Okay, I said anywhere around 5 to 8, so I was in the ballpark.
Yeah, you weren't far off.
Okay, good.
I mean, you were closer than I was.
Yeah.
But
I knew it.
Yeah, we've got like big areas. Half of it's desert and uninhabitable. So yeah, we just don't count it, I guess. It's where the animals live. It's fine.
Yeah.
So for those playing along at home, who are you? What do you do?
This is a great question. It's an insightful one. This is a good question. I was trying to find a third adjective. So, my name is Mr. BadBit. I host the Trophy Room, a PlayStation podcast made by the players for the players, where each and every Thursday, me and my best friend Kyle talk about the latest, the greatest in all things PlayStation. And our podcast can be found on Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Those are our main platforms. We don't usually mess around with YouTube, but we're also on YouTube as well if you prefer the video functionality of podcasts and such. And yeah, this is me without any coffee, and now I've noticed it. So
do you need to go get some? I will allow you to go have get coffee.
No, it's cool. Still we're already in it. We're already in this. I got this.
This is fine. Just take me with you. Just pick up the PC and just take me to the kitchen. We'll do a house tour. It'll be great.
Keurig right there. It's great. Honestly, I started a new job and they were like, and here's the most important function, the most important room. Here it is. It's the copier room. This has the Keurig inside of it. And they even told me that like the best times to be here are around 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. that's when it's less crowded, you know. Over here in the tri-state, that's what we live off of. But nonetheless, yeah, I host a PlayStation show every Thursday, where it is literally my favorite thing to do each and every week. It's the thing I look forward to each and every week. It's a fantastic show that is all about building a community of awesome people, of an inclusive, truly inclusive space in the gaming industry. And it is something that I take a lot of pride in, because the one thing that we constantly try to avoid, which over the weekend is just awfulness, is the console war stuff. We're not really, that's not our jam. We think it's really stupid. It's actually really disruptive. It's really harmful to this industry. And so we really try to bridge the gap of, you can listen to the show no matter what you game on, whether you're playing on PlayStation or you're playing on Xbox or you're playing on Nintendo, or if you're playing on PC or, a Soldier Boy console. We don't care. We
Man, I
just
really need to
want
get
to
me one
talk
of
games.
those.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah,
He
those
sounds,
kids
he
are
sounds
so
like an
good.
outstanding gentleman.
I'm sure it's the highest of quality.
Yeah. Sounds like he's very stable. But yeah, that's pretty much what, the trophy room is kind of bred on, is just doing our best to respect people and giving the same energy that we bring to the podcast to spaces like Twitter, and meeting people with that same energy you give us. So it's awesome. It's a really awesome space, and I'm very proud of how it's shaped up.
That's awesome. You can tell, like, I was listening to a couple of episodes on it today, caught up with your most recent one. You can tell that comes across with, the way things are produced and the way you guys hold yourselves throughout conversations, and it's really cool. It's something to look forward to now. Just to kind of, because I there's not a lot of PlayStation podcasts out there, or that I know of. I mean, my circles have definitely more leaned toward like the Xbox side of things, just because that's kind of where I've come from as a gamer.
Yeah.
So what got this started for you? Was it like you noticed a kind of a gap in people talking about PlayStation products, or was this something else?
So the funny thing about hosting a PlayStation show is, you're right, I don't think a lot of people do it, because I think a lot of people are somewhat intimidated of doing it, because when you think of PlayStation podcast, you're thinking of Podcast Beyond, you're thinking of PS I Love You, you're thinking of Sacred Symbols, and those are like the main staples. The one thing that when I started, and as any creator, you try to find what is the niche. Talking about all things games is harder than it seems. You'd think you get more of an audience, but you really don't, because there are multiple communities within gaming that are vastly different from each other. And it's something to take into consideration, where you'll be able to please literally no one. So when I was making the trophy room, I wanted to, I didn't do it. And I see a lot of people that are like, right now, like, we're making an Xbox podcast because it's fun to talk about Xbox right now.
There are so many of them. I've seen like 6 in my feed pop up. I mean, it's great. I love seeing.
Sure.
Love seeing more podcasts come up. It's fantastic. But yeah, I think you're right. Xbox is really easy to talk about right now.
Right now, because it's fun. It's fun, and I get it, because they're doing a lot of awesome things. So the one thing that I wanted to kind of avoid is, if I'm making something, it's not to fill a power vacuum. It's not to talk about just the latest hotness. It's talking about it because I genuinely want to talk about it. So I made this podcast because I was a huge fan of classic Beyond, the Greg and Colin shtick. I was a huge, huge devout fan of the old PS I Love You back in the day. And, when the Cole, Colin, and Greg's split happened within that company, I was totally bummed out when they decided to cancel it. And so I was just like, damn it, I love this show so much, I'll do it myself. And that's kind of what the main gist was. I Thanos gauntleted it. Not because I was like, oh, this is a great opportunity to fill a void. It was, I'm just missing this thing that I really like, because I miss a podcast where I actually feel like the hosts, and I'm stealing a phrase that I was, because I was talking about this with my friend Logan last night, where they don't feel like professional strangers, where they actually feel like they're friends all on and off the mic. And so, I brought Kyle on in 2018. Time's an enigma. I'm awful
Mhm.
with anniversaries. When people are like, "How long you been doing the trophy room?" A while. That's
Oh,
the only thing I can say.
I'm just the same thing. Like, I thought I only realized that I missed like our 3 year by like 4 months. I was like, oh,
Oh,
whoops, whoops.
yeah,
I also
yeah.
forget my kid's birthday, so don't.
All right,
You're
there you go.
fine.
Oof. Oof, you one up me. Good, good, good. So yeah, no, like to me, we came on at around 2017, 20. No, it is 18, right? Yes, and um, we then created the trophy room at around January 10th. Kyle's name and everything. And so that was like our partnership, because I was in a partnership with someone else the year of, because I used to do YouTube and I used to actually do an Xbox show. And I didn't like the way I was treated all too well. And I wanted to make sure that my co host felt like a partner, though we may not be 100% partners, because I do the editing, I run the show, I host the show, I produce the show. He still has a say. That was very important to me. And oftentimes when we're talking, it is like I'm trying to meet a compromise more than I'm saying we're doing this, so we're doing it. So he really did come up with the name. He came up with, or had final say with the logo. I really, I'm pretty proud of the partnership that we've made along the way, because that's when our friendship really took off. I met Kyle in 2017 and partnered with him in 2018, and we really started to build that rapport from there. So some of the biggest compliments I get is like, "Oh, Joe, you and Kyle sound like how long have you known each other? Because it sounds like you guys have been friends for 10 plus years." It's like, no, it's how long this show's been up. And he has truly become one of my closest friends over the past 2 years, and it's an immense honor. So our lineage really comes from not so much of a power vacuum, but wanting to fill a void that I wanted to fill, not because I thought the internet needed it. If that makes any sense.
No, that does. It's like you've got something you're passionate or you want to talk about,
Yeah.
and you just want to do it. There's no other real reason. Like, sure, there may not have been a spot for, like, there could have been thousands upon thousands of different PlayStation casts. It still wouldn't have mattered for you, because that is something you wanted to talk about because you're passionate about it. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's also the one thing that I see from a lot of podcasts is, we go back to like the Xbox stuff, right? Like we see a lot of Xbox shows. I've seen some PlayStation shows here or there as well. The problem that I have with most of those podcasts is they typically devolve into, well, I'm talking about Xbox, ergo I need to be a D-bag to people that like Sony. Or I'm hosting a PlayStation podcast, ergo I don't see the value in Game Pass. Those things that lack, I think, any basic, I guess, knowledge, because like it's unavoidable. Like Game Pass is the greatest deal in gaming. It's just a fact. It's great. I call it the ultimate demo machine, because usually if I play something I really really like on Game Pass, I end up buying it on PlayStation, and I often get met with, but it's on Game Pass. I'm like, but I'm supporting the developer, so isn't
No,
this
it's
what it's all
fun.
about? Yeah, so let me make the poor purchasing decision. So like for me, most of those podcasts just end up towing company line, talking about how great Phil Spencer is, talking about how great Game Pass is, talking about, I don't know, what do you kids like nowadays? The controller or something, right? And like most PlayStation podcasts, we're talking about our exclusives, and we're talking about how Game Pass may hurt a developer, is what I hear a lot. And so like to me, it's ad nauseum. Like this morning, I saw a lot of Xbox guys go talking about, $70 games, and I'm like, are we still on the shtick, guys? Are we still here? Because it's annoying. And
Isn't
I know,
isn't it
like,
for isn't it for both consoles now though?
no, it's
Is it just
so
still PlayStation? I
it's
know Xbox were talking about it at some point.
yeah, they definitely will. So I know it's Activision, EA, PlayStation. Give 2K a year, give Ubisoft 2 years, and like that will be the standard.
Yeah.
It is it awesome? No, but I enjoyed the 15 plus years as an American. I've having my games for $60, so I'm fine. But I see a lot of people towing that line of like, I can't believe it. Like, oh, is this? You don't see this on PC. It's like, well, you don't see a lot of things on PC because of pirating. But
Yeah.
I see a lot of people like bang on that drum, and it's just annoying. It's like, guys, get a new shtick. Stop pandering. Say stuff because you mean it, not because it's going to try to get you a click or a follow or whatever. Just talk about games. I'm sick of if I'm hearing the same thing and the same question, it's ad nauseum. So the one thing that I am very tired of is that console war mentality. I'll talk about how like that Horizon upgrade should have been free from the get. Absolutely, and we will talk about that as well on the latest episode of the Trophy Room, as well as giving praise to Microsoft when it's due, and really trying to only talk about Microsoft when it actually matters, when there's an actual comparison, if it actually relates to PlayStation. Because I'm sick of like, so Master Chief Collection or sorry, what is it? Halo Infinite is coming out. How does this affect Sony? It's like nothing. Doesn't. Stop. That type of lack of I'm bringing in something for SEO rather than actually wanting to talk about it is annoying to me, and it's tiring. Just tired of it. So our conversations are often real. We'll talk about the PlayStation heatsink, but we're not going to pretend that we're engineers and we know how these things work. Because like Wi-Fi is magic.
It
You get
is.
internet
I
via
didn't
the
even know there
air.
was actual science. It's yeah. There is no
What?
science. It is pure magic. There are fairies. Like the modem is just a house for fairies. That's all that
Exactly.
is. And they just from there. That's their base of operations. They sprinkle Wi-Fi magic throughout your household.
Pretty
And
much.
that's it. Like
Yeah.
I don't know what a heatsink is. It's
They're saying it's a smooth surface, but it's like micro rough surfaces, and it's disperses heat. I don't know any of that. Stop it. But that's the thing we're constantly trying to do.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, it doesn't even matter because
No.
the real winner needs to be games, right? Because that's what we're playing. I mean, sure, the machine may run slightly better, but most people aren't generally going to notice unless you know exactly what you're talking about. And according to the internet, everybody knows what they're talking about. But
That's true. That's true.
It's true.
And PlayStation's dead and Xbox is dead. I don't know if you know this.
What's that?
I said, and PlayStation dead is and Xbox is dead. Apparently.
Oh,
that's
yeah,
what I've heard on the
internet.
internet.
It's glorious PC master race from here on out. That's
pretty much.
We're all gone. I have been loving seeing the PlayStation games come to PC. Yeah. I think that has been fantastic because it means that people that haven't been able to play them can now play them. Like I ended up playing Horizon Zero Dawn on PC for the first time as opposed to PS4. And things like Death Stranding. And I'm sure Days Gone came to PC recently as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's
But you
great.
could avoid that game.
Really? Not a fan.
Not a fan whatsoever.
Not a fan. Interesting, because I've heard nothing but praise.
I've heard that like they patched the game a few months afterwards and it's great. They have a golden path and all that. But I remember that game and it's not that. Well, okay. It's good for like any game standard, right? Like if this came out of Ubisoft, it's like, oh, this is fine. This is a great game. But coming out of the PlayStation arm, what we are come to expect from them, it was, fine.
It's
Don't need to-
fine.
Yeah,
It's fine. It's no God of War. It's fine.
exactly.
Yeah. Man, I need to see God of War on PC. I think it's coming. It's gonna look amazing. I don't
And
even
Last
care
of Us.
about anything else, but just pure aesthetics. I'm gonna steal someone else's machine that is much better than mine, and just like bask in the glory that is God of War.
Yeah, that's me. Whenever Bloodborne remaster comes out for PC, I'm there.
I know quite a few people who will be like in that boat with you. So let's talk about you and gaming for a little bit. We'll wind back the clock a touch. Talk about when you were a little bit. How did it all start for you? Like, I mean, I know you're obviously a Bloodborne fan, but I'm sure it goes further back than that.
Oh, so okay. So here's the interesting thing about me and a gamer. I'm going to give you the whole story. I'm going to give you the whole synopsis. I'm going to give you from start, middle, end, how I got to PlayStation, why PlayStation's the bread and butter. So I started off a little bit Nintendo kid, as we often should be. You could be raised as a Mega Drive fan, right? That's what they call it, right? Or what I call a Sega Genesis, because that's what it's named. Any other name's wrong. But that would be a bad childhood because you didn't have Mario. And so I love my Nintendo. I love my Super Nintendo. I loved my N64. Super Mario World is still, to me, the best platformer that's ever been created. Not even close to anything has come towards it. That's the thing that made me a gamer. Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time, and Majora's Mask would cement me as a gamer. Oh, God, yes. Ocarina of Time, I remember sitting down with my brother, us trying to just play it together and beat it together and going through that godforsaken water dungeon. I remember Majora's Mask is what is, to me, better than Ocarina of Time because it's the first Zelda game, or actually first game I beat by myself. So I have a lot of attachments to it. I remember scribbling in my notebook as a kid all the Legend of Zelda swords in different little variations because I thought that would be super cool. And so Legend of Zelda, a big place in my heart. I would then graduate to a Xbox original. My brother used to work at Comp USA, RIP. It's an electronic store for those of you who don't know. Akin to a Best Buy or Sam's Club. I think. I'm trying to be international here.
I have none of those, so
damn it. Okay, so whatever the Australian version of like a Best Buy is, that's what it is. And and so I got an original Xbox. I fell in love with Halo. I love the Master Chief. I've beaten that game countless times. I could play that game probably blindfolded. I have a lot of fond memories of it. One being where we went to Massachusetts to visit my uncle, and I got poison ivy in my eyes, on my face. It was a mess. And we spent a good 3 or 4 days playing Halo Legendary Edition, trying to ignore the fact that my face was all messed up. Me and my brother just playing co-op and a Finnish game. People on the internet are the worst. And so that game means a lot to me, as well as getting a PS2 and not being as excited for it, but playing the shit out of Ratchet and Clank, Jak and Daxter, the pivotal PlayStation action platformers. That's what I was playing on that console, and I appreciated it for that. Then the 360 happened, and 360 is the most popular story I ever tell is that my mother, of whom I love so very much, she couldn't get a 360 for Christmas for me, but she said she promised to make it up to me. And a week afterwards, I get a call from gym class telling me that I need to leave to pack my stuff and go. And I met my mother in the main office, and that's where she told me, her words, that she got me the Xbox and that she's taking me out of school so I could go play Call of Duty too, because she's awesome. So middle
What
school
a
bad bit.
legend.
Yeah, exactly. Middle school
What a
bad bit.
legend.
Loved all that.
Would have loved
So,
that.
fast forward a few years, I'm still a big 360 guy, and I am a fanboy. I'm like, Xbox is great. Sony sucks. PlayStation sucks. Fat PS3, who needs it? Here's how much of a fanboy I was. My cousin ran a Sony style, which is akin to a Apple store back in the day. It's just a store run by Sony, and she could have gotten me games at cost, and she could have got me a PS3 probably for cost, and I was like, no,
Didn't
only
want none of
Xbox.
it. Wow.
Yeah, she trolled me once by giving me a GameStop gift card in a PlayStation 3, like a little mini container. And I'm like, ugh, gross. Who would,
That is amazing.
exactly.
between that and your mum, man, like you've got the makings of like both sides of the coin there. I love it.
Yeah. And so I was working at GameStop one day, and I hate that place. Don't ever shop there. EB Games over there,
Yeah, we have
right?
that one. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
I got it. One for one here. One for one. And I was working there, and one guy came in. The one thing that we usually see is like a lot of people try to sell their console for weed back in the day. And so this guy's PS3 was dank. He was trying to sell it without any of the wires, without a controller. And I literally told him, listen, I'll buy this console for $80. Walked outside. We made that happen. I could have gotten fired there, but listen, I bought a PS3 for $80 and bought Uncharted 2. I bought a headset, and this was literally during the PlayStation Network outage. And I made my little PlayStation Network account, which I would end up remaking for some reason, I think. Nonetheless, that's where I fell in love with PlayStation. It was literally during the blackout, playing Uncharted 2 and going, what the hell have I been missing? Because this game is incredible. And then playing Little Big Planet afterwards because it got it for free, because that was one of the effective games. Like, you want a Little Big Planet? Because we really messed up here, guys. Sorry about the credit cards. And I was like, oh, yeah, sure, whatever. And because I worked at GameStop, I was able to, quote unquote, test out all these games. And really, that's where
just sample them. Make sure they're working correctly.
Yeah. So I know what I'm talking about.
Exactly.
And
research and development.
And that's where,
love it.
Yeah, and that's where I fell in love with PlayStation. I was like, whoa, what have I been doing? And I wish other people had this epiphany. What have I been doing, man? What have I been doing casting stones on this other piece of plastic? Because I am missing so many amazing games here. This thing's special. It's during that time as well that I was listening to a little podcast called Podcast Beyond. And that gave me the sense of community as well. And so for me, taking a look at my PlayStation lineage, I'm rather new. Like, it's been 10 plus years, but I would still consider it going, well, I was a kid for PS1. My grandma had it. We'd go over there. I'd play some Crash demos, and I, of course, couldn't save them. I had my PS2, but I wasn't like in love with my PS2. And my Xbox 360, I suffered, talk about heat sinks, I suffered around 5 to 6 red rings. I was like patient zero for this goddamn thing.
Oh my
And
gosh.
after I had to give up my Halo Reach console because it had a graphical bug in it, I was just like, and it kept on blue screening. I was just like, I'm done with this. I'm very angry, very upset. And it's by the time the Xbox One rolled around, and even then I was like, but Xbox will probably be my main console. Who knows? And then that flub happened. And I was just like, what are you doing? And that's when I switched
Xbox,
over to
no.
PlayStation.
Please stop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who's this Dark Magic, and why is he saying all these mean things? And that's when I really hopped on over, man. That's the lineage. So I come at it through a perspective when I'm talking about PlayStation And this is what makes the trophy room so great. Of someone who, grand scheme, I'm not going to know all the inside baseball things to PlayStation. I'm not going to know all the inside baseball things to all these, uh, classic or cult, PlayStation games, right? Like, I don't know what Toomba is or Tomba. I can't tell you.
Nope.
But
No
Kyle
idea.
loves the shit out of it. And so for me, I come through as the host that in the beginning, I was making fun of the evangelical, console warriors in the beginning of the show, but it's now really evolved into everybody knows if you put a controller in my hand, I'm going to play that thing, right? Kyle is the true, if you're looking for the lineage of PlayStation, the hardcore PlayStation fan, he's there. So he's really the emotions guy of like, here's what the heartbeat of an average PlayStation gamer is. And I'm coming at it through the more, I guess for better words, pragmatic um, gamer approach. And that's what makes us so very unique is that we both respect each other. And also with him, he's a healthy PlayStation gamer because he's not here trashing Xbox everywhere he goes. So we have that rapport back and forth from each other rather well because we have two totally different perspectives, though we both really appreciate the ecosystem that we're in, if that makes any sense. So that's my lineage from start to fin.
Excellent. That's it's quite the journey, man. You've been back and forth, which is good as well. I think like I said, like having that experience in both ecosystems as well helps. Yeah, brings you the more pragmatic view to Kyle's kind of like has mostly just kind of mained PlayStation right throughout and has played all the old games. Is really passionate about their games and all that kind of stuff. It's good to see. It's a good balance. Good chemistry is kind of important with podcasts too. I found that as well.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Like you listen to some podcasts there, and there's nothing bad about the podcast. The podcast is still good, but you can always sense that something's just kind of off.
Yeah.
Is it like it doesn't quite vibe? But yeah, you guys have fantastic chemistry.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's all right. You're welcome. You're welcome. I hadn't. I'm not gonna lie. I hadn't listened before. Earlier this week, and I kind of got into it. I'm like, all right. I got this.
Yeah, we got something here.
I can dig this. I think we're onto something here. This is nice. Yeah. I'll add it in. Fantastic.
Yeah, that's what I like to hear.
There you go. Another one to the numbers. Okay. So building up this podcast, which has been quite successful. You guys have done really, really, really well. What's that been like for you from like kind of where to go?
Good question. So I used to do YouTube. And what I found with YouTube is that it broke me because I'm here and I want to celebrate games. I want to not be the overly positive guy. Oh, this is gaming great. I want to be that person that I'm enjoying games. You know that I'm enjoying games. I want to speak thoughtfully of games. I don't like to be positive for positive sake. And I think when we throw out positive, and when I do too, it's often like I'm never going to say a bad thing about product A, B, or C. To me, it's about being thoughtful and understanding that there are people behind that screen that you may be talking to. Some people are in a good mood, some people are in a bad mood, some people you just goddamn woke up with all the notifications. I'm looking at you, guy, in my Horizon thread the other day. Wacko guy. 2 a.m. and I'm just here. I'm like, what? Why did I mute the thread? I forgot. Oh, God.
Oh, please. Let me sleep a little bit longer.
Leave me alone. So for me, it's about being thoughtful. YouTube is the least thoughtful way to create. I think in terms of the big brands, or the main staples of creation, like the things that people are looking at. Besides like social media stuff, which is all useless for the most part, to be honest. YouTube it's about an algorithm. And if you can take your feelings out of the way, if you can just make that thing, if you don't care about like putting a thumbnail like shock face at the side of your content, making something super flashy or misleading, that's probably not for you. And it wasn't for me. I remember the Philip Mewson thing happening, and I don't like the guy. I don't want to ever give him too much air, but I went really off on him in this video, and I got 11,000 views, and in a span of a day, and that's big if you're a small guy like me. And I got a DM from my friend Bobby Pauls, rest in peace, my good friend. He's just like, I don't like this video, and I think it's garbage. And I'm like, why? He's like, why did you make this? Is it because you wanted to do it, or because you knew this would get some traction? Because like, as much as you don't like the guy and what he did, there's a person behind that screen. And I'm like, yeah, but he stole. He's like, so what? Like, he's already getting it. He got fired. He's done. Realistically, he will never be in this industry again. You didn't have to make this video. And that was the hard thing I had to see. He's like, he was just like, what if this guy does something to himself? What if he kills himself or something? And I was like, well, that's a little extreme. He's like, is it? Like, you're being harassed by literally thousands of people every day right now. Is it really extreme? And I'm like, oh, boy. And that really put it in perspective for me. Yeah, and it was during the time. I'm sorry, go for it.
No, I was to say like that might, like, especially in this day and age where everyone has access to something, and there's such a dog pile nature to the internet, where it's just like the one person starts, it's on, and that can put a lot of pressure on someone, emotionally and mentally. And I mean, I've seen stories of internet bullying and stuff like that, really pushing people to that point, and unfortunately beyond it.
That said, I did make a really funny self-reflective joke towards myself in that video, and it's why I won't take it down.
The one joke.
It's a really good joke. I don't want to spoil it because it's good.
Okay. Well, but, make sure we get that video linked.
But that said, like, that was the one self-reflective moment. I was like, oh shit, I think he's right. Because I like what he said. He said along the lines of, every new subscriber you get will expect this from you. This is not the Joe I know. They're going to expect angry Joe, not the YouTuber, but me.
Not the other one.
The fat one. This one. the other Hispanic one. So that was a self-reflective moment, and I then started seeing the Fallout 76 one. This Fallout 76 controversy, not to say it wasn't deserved, but I did see a pattern where everybody was making a video on this every single day. All the biggest YouTubers were making a video on this every single day, and they would say the same points over and over again about how bad and buggy this game is, blah, 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 and then talk about a nylon bag for 30 seconds and then end the video. And then the next video a day afterwards would say Fallout 76 new controversy, and they'd say the same thing and then talking about nylon bags again. And I'm like, this is not what I want. If I'm angry all the time and if there's controversy everywhere, I don't want to be a part of it. And that's where I tuned off YouTube, and I switched to mainly podcasting, which is a huge switch, because podcasts are the smallest medium right now in terms of like YouTube, Twitch, but they are A, the fastest growing, and B, that audience truly gives a shit. Their retention rate of a average podcast listener, think about this. Average YouTube video, if it's good, 5 minutes of watch time. 5 minutes you have someone's attention. If your content's great, an average podcast is 45 minutes. That is, you have someone's lunch break, right? You have someone's shift.
You have someone's commute to work. The fact that people are willing to kind of sit there and listen to you talk for that long is kind of astounding. Like you said, like with everything, especially with with YouTube's attention span getting shorter. TikTok popping up, shorts, Instagram stories, reels. It's all short span, short attention things, and long form content like podcasts and let's plays aren't really in that limelight anymore. But the people that are there for it.
Yes. And so it was a big switch to make, but looking back on it, it is the absolute best decision I've ever made. We all, oftentimes as a creator, you probably get it. I've gotten it. We've all gotten it. Of like, even just in real life, shoulda, woulda, coulda. If I knew this, if I knew that, man, if I only knew what doing this would be, it is truly like the biggest godsend, because to me, like, you look at my YouTube numbers, they're not spectacular, right? I'm not hitting 1,000 views. I'm not, because I'm not doing the oh my gosh thumbnails. I'm not doing the facial reactions. If I did, and trust me, there are times like I've tested it and it works better. It very much does. It's it is, trying to get back on the thread here for myself. It is refreshing that all you need to do on a podcast is sound great, which takes some time, takes some learning, takes some effort, and have good rapport with your co-host, have a structured show. You're able to break down the news in a well thought out way. You're going to get folks. So my YouTube numbers may not be spectacular, but like, I was having a conversation with someone. They're like, man, like, more eyes need to be on you. And I'm like, what are you looking at? YouTube? Yeah, no. That's not my platform. Like, I'm lucky enough to have thousands of people listening to me on Apple Podcasts, on Google Play, on Spotify, that I can just say, you know what, who gives a shit? I'll put this out. I'll put some tags in it for sure. And I'm happy if it does well. But everything for me as a creator has to link back to the podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Everything has to link back there. And so like the growth we've seen over the past 2 years has been nuts. Like we literally quadrupled our numbers in the span of a year and a half.
Oh wow,
And
that's insane.
yeah. And so like podcasts matter. And I think we're going to get to a point where PR people also know that podcasts matter. And once we have a sure way of how to articulate the analytics accurately enough, yeah, I think we're going to see people really lean on podcasts, as this is the older demographics way of entertainment. The older demos, like, I'm going for 25 to 35 to 45. That is like the target demo. I am so happy when I look at the people that are watching. Less than 1% are like 20 or younger.
Yeah, I've noticed that with mine as well. It's like it's always the kind of that older, like it's kind of the age that I am now. It's that there's nothing generally under the age of 20 at all. It's just like non-existent, maybe one or two occasionally. But yeah, it's nothing under there at all.
No, it's for me, that is the great escape. Is podcast isn't about the click nature. It is playing a different game of SEO, but it's not it's more obtuse for sure, but it's not as insidious as YouTube is, because YouTube is about that. Their algorithm is about negativity, about drama. And that's why you see all these podcasts lead in with if it bleeds, it leads mentality to creation.
Yeah. I've found interesting enough, because I originally this podcast was just like audio only. Yeah. We weren't messing around with YouTube. I think they started uploading them occasionally. So it's something interesting I've noticed as well is once I kind of started uploading, I noticed a decent chunk of it going to YouTube as well. I don't know if that's just a convenience thing where people just prefer the video, which is something I do as well. I've always kind of preferred. I like watching people talk. I listen on the train and stuff when I'm going around. Yeah. If I have the option, I'll quite happily sit there and watch that video, because
Kyle is the same way.
Personable.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Kyle's like, I want to see the conversation happen, and it's always interesting. That's why we always have, when we have the video, we have not done like a stagnant image in a while, and you know, a shit has gone wrong if it's a stagnant image or something, because like, yeah, you want to see me talk, you want to see Kyle talk, you want to see us generally get along. I get that, and it is important, and I think for us as well, it's giving people the option of hey, yeah, YouTube's great and all, but there's this other thing over here, and we're going to link it over here, so give you the convenience option of when I'm on the train, when I'm going to work, I have that there.
Yeah.
And so yeah, that's why podcasting to me is it is the best form of content, because you'll listen to a conversation, and like, I don't listen to PlayStation podcasts until I've listened, until I've recorded my own, and so I'll be like, oh shit, they thought of this, I didn't even think of that. That's amazing. And it's actual great conversations usually, because I don't go after garbage. So to me, that's what it is to me. I think YouTube's junk food and podcasts are like my vegetables. And maybe I should follow that philosophy in real life. I think I should.
sounds like a solid plan.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anything you've learned over the years of podcasting that kind of shocked you about the platform at all?
What shocked me about it? Honestly, all right, this will come off pretty pompous and douchey. How good I am at it, I think. That shocked me. I consider myself pretty darn good at knowing, of hosting, of editing, and what I need to improve on. I am shocked, not to say shocked, but I am intrigued by how isolating it feels. It's harder to get in touch with some podcasters as it would be with YouTubers, because YouTubers, it's about the cross pollination. It is about yeah, really that collaboration. And podcasts are a little bit like, okay, I put this out in the ether, bye-bye. And so that's something that I find intriguing, and I'm often thinking about what it is behind the scenes that puts some podcasts up front, some podcasts in the back, and where my podcast leads. And the one thing I love to do is I like to be like a mad scientist and play with things every week. So I think it also lends itself to being more experimental with the way you put out your content. But I'm also, I think, the most surprised of how free I feel as a creator, of making the content I want, not having to go, okay, so I'm going to stream on Twitch now. I'm going to make this 5-minute YouTube video now. I'll get back to this podcast. Okay, this is great. I'm not busy at all.
It's so much work. Like, you're like, I think like I see a lot of people like, the same kind of things. Like, you stream on Twitch, you stream the podcast live, you upload it for YouTube, you're banging out clip after clip after clip to go on like all the different other short form podcasts, short platforms, and there's so much work there that it kind of poisons the barrel a bit, I think. Well, it did burnout, for me, because I was doing that a bit as well. I was trying to get it out there. We were streaming it, we were doing it on YouTube, and it just, the longer I did that, the more I disliked what I was doing.
Absolutely.
And I found now that like just doing this offline, because the offline nature of just talking to people is much more relaxed too. Yes. And just
that's why I don't stream any of my podcasts. Unless it's at a PlayStation event, I don't stream it. That's a lot of anxiety for me. I don't need that shit in my life. I really don't. The one thing too that I do want to mention is something, probably a question that I'll be stealing from you. The advice that I could give to people is, don't stretch yourself out that thin. Focus on one thing. Focus on doing that thing really well. Focus on mastering that thing. Focus on it until it's second nature. Then you could go off and do something else. And that takes months. That takes years sometimes for some folks, at different strokes for different folks. But don't go out there going, okay, so I made a podcast, now it's a Twitch channel, now it's a YouTube thing. It's like, no. Here's inside the baseball. Making the trophy room each and every Wednesday is about a 6-hour affair. Like, I'll wake up, have my breakfast, tweet out the tweet, we need your questions for the trophy room, put it out there on Discord. Once I finish my breakfast, I'm looking for notes. And the notes, if it's a good day, and how they're structured is I have a synopsis of here's the article. I'm taking out the most important paragraphs, giving that person credit. We got to attribute that, or else it's stealing. And then I have the questions that I'm going to give Kyle, or if it's a really good week, the audience questions that they're going to feed Kyle. And then I have the games coming out this week, questions and all that. And so I take about an hour if it's a good day, making show notes, 40 minutes to an hour. And then I do the recording with Kyle. That takes 2.5 hours because we do Patreon stuff, patreon.com/PS Trophy. We can really use your help. And oh god. So that takes about 2-ish hours and change. And then I edit it. Thankfully, we're recording on Zencaster. I love Zencaster. It makes a lot of the
I only discovered this like 4 or 5 episodes ago.
Same.
A mate of mine was using it for another podcast. He's like, you've got to try it out. I don't know. Discord's
separate
fine.
audio feeds.
Discord's fine. And I've had a few issues just with things finishing off incorrectly or desync, but I've solved those problems now. And it is the best because, especially given that I'm a guest-based podcast, right? I'm different people every week. Not everyone has Discord. I just go, hey, here's a link. Click on that. Set up your audio. Bang. Done. Let's go. Beautiful. And it's and yeah,
my apologies. Someone was knocking at the door and I needed to tell him to skedaddle.
Get out, podcast and mom.
This is a Hispanic household. It's 5 people live here. We're all yelling at each other, but no, it is fantastic. It's so easy and it helps post process some things, and then I touch some things up. But like the editing process alone takes about 40 minutes as well with all the rendering and stuff. And then I'm making that thumbnail, and then I'm making the description, and then I'm putting it out. We're recording around, we're going to try to do it at 7 o'clock instead of 8 now, but I usually start recording at 8 and I am not done until 1 or 2 in the morning. So it's a lot of work. It is about my thing is, I know that there are podcasts bigger than ours, right? Podcasts that are better produced than ours. You know, I take a look at, like, I think the intimidation factor of a thing like Podcast Beyond, because they literally have producers as the show's going.
It's a whole different production. There's like regular kind of podcasts, and then there's those guys, like that level of podcast, like they're way up there. They have like a whole teams to do everything. The host just kind of like get up and do their thing.
Yeah, and it's a David and Goliath story, but like I like to think I'm little baby David going after this Goliath. That I'm going to try to get as good at the sound production as I can, because I know that personality-wise, we have something special here. And so to me, I think the most shocking thing really, rather than just the pompous thing I said earlier, is how much time goes into this. Again, that's just one episode. That is just one day. I do far more stuff on the side as well. And it's hard. It's difficult. It is not for everyone. It is something that, I think the number is like there's 60,000 or like 6,000. I'll just say 6,000 new podcasts added in each and every day. There are over, I think, a few million podcasts out there, but only 18% are active. Like most podcasts that are on this field are dead. And it's for a reason, because people see, oh my God, I got 30 viewers this week. This is awful. And they keep looking at that 30 number, and they don't realize that if you just filled a gymnasium you just filled a room full of people that are just listening to you. You know, everybody thinks they're going to be the next PewDiePie. I don't know if he's still relevant, but it's always the term I use. And, or if he's canceled for whatever. You know what? He probably is, right?
He probably is. Like
the next Markiplier.
Canceled. Yeah.
The next Markiplier. I think he's great. Well, tomorrow, Markiplier canceled. But like, to me, it's you know, people think that it's an overnight thing because if you're good at it, you make it look easy. And that is probably the biggest the biggest thing is like those excellent podcasts are there for a reason. They put in a tremendous amount of work. Then it was so much work that it looks effortless. So to me, that is the whole thing. Is like, dude, I was getting 80 hits a week for months, and that did not stop me. You know? So for me, like my advice is just keep improving. Keep improving. I can always improve. I mean, just look at me. I'm a mess.
You're a beautiful mess, though. I love it. It's sound advice. Like, I mean, like there are like I said, like especially since the pandemic, there have been a lot of people go, "Oh, let's do a podcast and talk about things." And I don't think, they kind of get a few episodes in, like, "Oh, this isn't working. We're not doing something right." And they don't work and evolve at it. Like I knew when I changed. Yeah, I changed this from used to be like a news style podcast. We discussed the weekly gaming news, all that kind of stuff. And I changed tack about 30 episodes ago because I'd lost a co-host. I was by myself, so I was like, all right, I need to do something different. And you know, I took a hit. I took a pretty big hit changing tack because we built up an audience over a couple of years, and I was like, all right, I'm doing something totally different now, but we're still keeping the class because I love the name, and that's the only reason I'm keeping it.
Excuse me. And that's the other thing is like rebranding's hard. This thing is it's difficult, man. It isn't easy, and I hate iTunes reviews because like you'll get a review from like 2 years ago that's not reflective of the show today. Damn it. You know, and it's rough. It really is. It's not easy, and you have to. I think the one thing is you have to adapt, and you have to be open to different opinions and change. More than anything.
Yeah, definitely. It's
Also, do you think how wild it is? I'm in New Jersey right now. You're in Australia, and we're chatting. Did that ever come to mind?
No, it is the best thing. Internet, and I think that's the internet is just, I love it. It's like, and I think that's what I enjoy about what I do every week here too, is I'm meeting people from, you know, from Brazil, from America, Britain, New Zealand, like just all over the place. And I get these really cool insights into other people's lives. It's like a brief hour. Most of these people I barely know I've spoken to by like, hey, I have this podcast. Do you want to come on and talk for an hour? Yeah.
And, hey, question as an ignorant American. Now here's the next one. I was very interested in what you said because it's true. Like I'm having a conversation with you last week. I had a conversation with someone in Great Britain, and then the week before that was Canada. It's like it's nuts. But I got a question as an ignorant American to an Australian. You guys get beef with or not Australia, with New Zealand? Like, is there?
Yeah, but no, but like not really. Like me personally, no. There's.
You ever think about invasion?
No, it's not that far. It's kind of like the whole. It's kind of like the whole Canada America thing, where like there's nothing really there. It's more of like a friendly sibling rivalry, where you know you have a few pokes at each other, but ultimately you know you all kind of get along. You know, we love our Kiwis, even if they did steal.
So you didn't have like a moment where you're like, maybe you should take New Zealand, like maybe just the top of it.
Man, we can't even fly emus, so New Zealand's a. Have you heard that story?
No.
Australia lost a war with birds.
Oh, that's
you
not
need
good.
to go. You
That's
need to go look up. you need to go look up the Emu War. Basically, what happened was emus were a native animal. They became a bit of a nuisance, so they tried to like wipe them out and failed miserably.
Holy shit! Okay. Oh my god, this is real. The Emu War, known as the Great Emu War, a nuanced wildlife management military operation undertaken by the Australian government over the later part of 1932. Okay.
They had machine guns on vehicles and still lost to birds.
This no wonder why you guys needed our help in World War II. Jeez Louise.
Yeah, man, we have some issues.
I see an emu with a helmet on. There's a thumbnail. This is a good one.
Oh, fun little fact: we lost a war with birds. That's why we don't start wars. We just sit here on our little island pretending nothing's happening. It's great.
Yeah,
I mean, people think we don't exist. So
honestly, I was gonna say as Americans, we forget. We try our best to forget that Canada took over Detroit for a couple of months, and back in the War of 1812, and we kind of forget about it, and we just bully Canada around. Sometimes we're like, "Oh, look at you, the pants of America," ha ha, and and now I don't feel as embarrassed because emus. I'm going to watch. There's a documentary, 10-minute documentary right here.
I've set you up for the rest of the day with some educational content. You're welcome.
How long did this war last, and how many lives were lost?
A few years, I think.
Oh my god, this is something else. All right. All right.
Well, with you hankering for some new educational entertainment on how we lost a war with large birds. They're very scary, by the way. They're tall. They
look intimidating.
They are very intimidating. I think it was all the mental game, they got in our heads.
Yeah. And listen, they have their side of Australia, you have your side of Australia.
Exactly. We just stay on our side of the fence. It's fine. Mm-hmm. You wander over, you're dead to us. But thank you so much for coming on and having a chat, man. It's been amazing. I learned a lot from you, as someone who's been doing podcasts for a while as well. It's good to kind of chat with someone and get their expertise on it.
I'm sorry it was so late.
No, it's fine. It's all good. So, where can people find you and catch up with your stuff?
Fair. First off, I have to say I am the most jealous of your background. Can I be real?
Isn't it amazing? I kind of like yours too, man. We can. I think we've got some matching pops there too.
We do. Oh, you know what? I forgot to light the background, but let me light the background so people get at least a good outro. It's really important. There you go. Adds depth to the picture, they say.
Depth.
I'm very jealous of the Venom poster, most of all. It looks
my
dope.
wife got that for me for my birthday a couple of years ago. I was the happiest man alive.
You're like, I'm married, right?
I'm married, right? Yeah.
You're like, and I forgot our anniversary, and she did this for me. Okay, so you can find me at Mr BadBit on Twitter, where most of the time I just post tweets about games. I know, crazy. You can find the Trophy Room over at PS Trophy Room on Twitter. You can find the Trophy Room, a PlayStation podcast, wherever you find your podcast service of choice, whether that is Apple Podcasts, whether that is Google Play, Spotify, or even YouTube. You can find us there. It is a podcast where me and my best friend Kyle talk about the latest, greatest, all things PlayStation, but you all know about that by now. And yeah, man, thank you for having me again. So I still will ever be sorry that I was late.
No, it's all right. I'll hold it over you. I'll hold it over you at another day. It's fine. Right. So remember the time you were late? You owe me a favor now.
All right, what do you need? Where do I need to hide the body? Let's go.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for listening this week. If you'd like to find the podcast, if you're new here and you've come over to listen to Mr BadBit talk his shit, you can find us on Twitter Twitter at left_pod, Instagram at 2leftThumbs podcast. Video version of this will be live over on 2leftThumbs.online, and of course, podcasting platform of choice. It'll be there. If you feel like you enjoyed the show, rate and review. Go and give me a scathing 4-star review because because I have a 5-star record right now. I want someone to give me the 4-star. Let's go.
No, you don't. It's gonna hurt your feelings. And by the way, while you're there, we are doing a Kina Bridge of Spirits giveaway because I know how games are expensive over there in Australia. So rating the show 5 stars on Apple Podcasts and telling us, why you like the trophy room, giving your on Twitter so we know how to notify you. Get a chance to win Kina Bridge of Spirits before it comes out.
Oh,
totally forgot to plug that.
What I'm doing later. I'm going to have to do something like that, but I'm going to promise them something much, much more underwhelming because this is how I roll.
You guys get one of the pops I get that I don't like in the back.
Yeah, you can have the dusty one. I've got a broken Atheon pop somewhere. You can have that. He fell over and legs are gone. It's fine. Hey, gentlemen, thank you for listening. Have a wonderful week. I'll talk to you next time. Mr BadBit, thank you very much. Bye.